Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the Cradle News Roundup, coming to you live. My name is Esteban Carrillo. I'm the news editor for the Cradle, and of course, I'm joined by my friends and colleagues, content creator and writer for the Cradle, Karim Shami, and Sharmin Arwani, columnist and editor for the Cradle, who will be joining us in just a few minutes. In the meantime, let me remind you, as usual, please make sure to hit that like button, to subscribe to our channel. To check under the video in the description below, you can find a link that will take you directly to our Patreon page, where for as little as $5 a month, you can become a direct supporter of the Cradle, help us stay afloat, and of course, help us stay independent. Thank you for being here. Let's start discussing. We were just talking with Karim about how sometimes it's difficult to find new things to talk about. In this war in particular, it seems, that every day we just see more escalation, more red lines crossed, more destruction of civilian infrastructure. In particular, let's focus for a moment on the situation in Lebanon, because over the past 24 hours, Israel has yet again destroyed several buildings in Beirut, destroyed several bridges too, and clear war crimes, absolutely, clear as day. And UNICEF actually came out today with a report saying that since March the 2nd, when this war in Lebanon restarted, Israel has killed the equivalent of one classroom of children per day, which is, something that is kind of difficult to wrap your mind around. In any case, Karim, do you think you can walk us through some of the latest developments in Lebanon?
Yeah, so yesterday the escalation started around 1 a.m. or 2 p.m., 2 a.m. First, the Israelis, of course, they are constantly targeting the south, left and right. In addition to that, yesterday they escalated by targeting multiple buildings in Beirut, the heart of the city, without, of course, warning, and they targeted several apartments inside buildings, and of course, till now, the casualties, according to the Ministry of Health from Beirut, they were 12 and around 40 injured. And also, yesterday, the planes till today morning, they were hovering over Beirut, and the sounds of the warplanes and the sounds of the drones, and many people barely slept yesterday in Beirut. And of course, they expanded also to Aramoun and other places, and also they targeted south of Saida more than once yesterday. Of course, they killed around 53 people, according to the Ministry of Health, in the past 24 hours. That was the latest number that was given.
They also
And
issued
also,
an
yes,
evacuation order for the entirety of the city of Sur, or
yes,
Tyre, as is known in the West.
yes, 100%. They also issued, they expanded even the previous warning, and they expanded the areas for people to evacuate from the south, and as you mentioned, also the city of Tyre also. And this is creating like panic in
Population.
the population, of course. And yesterday also, what they did, they sent around, according to media, because it's not confirmed, because our Ministry of Communication and everything, they are silent, as if Lebanon they are not part of Lebanon, or as if the south and Beirut is not part of Lebanon. So according to many media reports, thousands and thousands of Lebanese people yesterday received calls and warnings to leave immediately their houses. And many of them, of course, thousands of people panicked and left their houses because of these messages, which created chaos, of course, and traffic, and all of these things added to the, of course, war and the depression and everything. So yeah, that's what the Israelis are doing. And also they added that they will expand their شو اسمه they will expand their operation in the south.
Yes.
Yes. And they said they will go to the south even if the war persists till the summer. So they are willing to spend months during this war, according to them today. And also In parallel, we have to say that also Hezbollah is targeting the north, and also Hezbollah issued warning of evacuation for the Israelis that live 5 kilometers on the border, and also in addition to Kiryat Shmona town and also Naharaya. So
Um,
that's what's happening. They are sending missiles every now and then and drones, and of course, Hezbollah is like firing hundreds of missiles every day, and also they are operating in the south. And according to their statements, in average, they are making around 35 operations against the Israelis in the south. And also we can talk about the internal affairs in Lebanon. Also, the tension is so high, and there were like street fights between people on the streets because some people didn't want like the refugees, and somebody want to kick the refugees, and people want to be part of the system in Lebanon, which is like accept the refugees. Many,
how
like
many?
even
How many?
yes.
How many displays already? Because just a few days ago we were talking about 800,000. Yesterday they essentially displaced the entire city of Tyr, as well as the Palestinian camps in that city, the Palestinian
Yeah,
refugee
exactly. Yeah.
camps.
Yeah, the numbers are, I guess they are more than 1 million. In addition to that, we have to know also in Lebanon, there is many Palestinian refugees and
Yeah, I think Charmin has joined us,
Syrian,
Karim, FYI.
and Syrian, no. Yes, okay, now I see her.
Hello, Miss Narwani. How are you?
Hi guys, sorry about being late.
It's okay. We were just going over some of the latest stuff in Lebanon. And I'm just seeing right now, we posted this on the Cradle, that apparently Israel has doubled the number of troops on the Lebanese border. Their plan, of course, to make sure Hezbollah does not have any military infrastructure. At this point, we know that about 10% of Lebanon is under forced evacuation orders. Karim, I'm sorry, I got you off. You were talking about the refugees.
Yeah, also, yeah, in addition, what's happening in Lebanon, Lebanon is a country that has hundreds of thousands of Palestinians refugees, and also around maybe 1 million Syrians. They are not refugees; they are just here, to be honest. And yeah, and previously many Lebanese, when something happened in Lebanon, used to, for instance, go to Syria to seek shelter. But now, in the current events and the geopolitics of the region, Lebanese, especially Lebanese that live in Dahi and in the south, they can't go to Syria because they will meet also, there's high risk of them to be killed also in Syria. So now the refugee crisis is escalating in Lebanon. And we have a new super chat from
Fatih Abi.
Fatit Abi. Salams from Australia, 5 a.m. here. There. Thanks to the team at the Cradle for always keeping us informed. Thank you. A special shout to Karim. Thank you again for your daily analysis, especially on South Lebanon, my motherland. Thank you a lot. Thanks for
Thank
watching.
you, Fatih. I've always seen him comment saying hi from Australia at 5 a.m. You're a dedicated listener, Fatih. Thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity. Now that we have Charmin here, maybe we can move on to, well, I guess the big topic today, which is, of course, the U.S. and Israeli strike on Iran's South Pars gas field. A strike conducted by the Israeli, but which then was reported by Axios, actually got the green light from the White House. And of course, they announced retaliation from Iran. I mean, Charmin, before you joined, we were talking about how we kind of feel, that every day we end up talking about the very similar things, but just worse, right? Just escalation on top of escalation. And now even the Qatari foreign minister has called this airstrike irresponsible and dangerous because, of course, Qatar shares the Pars field, right? Qatar has control of the North Pars. Iran has control of the South Pars. There's actually been some headbutting between the two over the past several years in regards to this. But we are already seeing oil prices rise, so I don't know, you have any thoughts about this?
My head's right now in a different kind of place because we're also seeing reporting, and we have seen it from the early days of this war, that was it a Wall Street Journal article? No, I don't remember which outlet, U.S. outlet it was that did this article saying that both Mohammed bin Salman and Benjamin Netanyahu had lobbied Trump hard to go all out on Iran.
It was Washington Post, if I remember.
It was Washington Post, right? So the Saudis dismissed that report altogether, and it didn't make sense either. And now we're hearing that the Qataris have behind the scenes been urging Trump to finish Iran. Again, something that doesn't make sense to me, because now there's something that's been established. If you hit our this, we're going to hit your that. You know, the Iranians are not, right? are not hitting, American, the American mainland. They're targeting U.S. bases and where U.S. is launching its attacks from. But they have said, even if that were the case, if we can't sell oil, you can't sell oil. If we can't refine it, you can't refine it. If we,
Yeah, of course.
So it would make zero sense for the Qataris, or any, indeed, countries of the Persian Gulf, to be pushing for further escalations against Iran and to take the war further horizontally, right? So we have now, we have military warfare, we've had economic warfare with the, cutting off of the Strait of Hormuz, and now we have an energy war, right? Mm-hmm. And this is almost like cutting off noses to spite faces here.
Exactly.
Right? It's like but that's why I suspect such a heavy Israeli hand in this, because they have this Masada complex, where we're gonna all die, but we're gonna take you all down with us.
ISIS-like.
Yeah, but they actually, they glorify that story in their history, Masada, where they all, this little fortress that they all hid in and fought till the last man in. So yeah, I'm trying to put my head around the political aspects of this. There's for the Israelis, imagine the entire Arab world, the oil-rich and gas-rich Persian Gulf Arab states, even, not having the means they had before. It's a net win. Why would the Americans do it unless they are recognizing that these countries can no longer move forward with U.S. bases, et cetera, there? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to get my head around the political meanings behind this, because right now, the Americans and Israelis launched the entire world into an energy war. If nobody can any longer blame the Strait of Hormuz and Iran's control over that as the reason for a global energy crisis, it is directly an American-Israeli attack that would have started that.
And we were looking with Karim at oil prices over the past couple of hours, and everything's on the way up. Everything's trending up. DME Oman oil earlier today reached $173 a barrel, which is a historic high. Currently, it's trading at about 153. WTI crude from the US is at $95. Murban crude from the UAE is at $117 a barrel. Dubai crude is at $122. Arab Light is at 127. There's also the price of Urals has gone up, which is mainly Russian. Everything is just continues to trend up, and that old saying, I think last week it was when they were saying the short-term pain for the long-term gain, seems to be just completely the opposite, right? Because they keep adding to the escalation. And what I read actually about the gas field that they hit today is that most of it, and I'm not completely sure, actually, maybe you guys know better than me, it's most of the gas that is produced by the South Pars field is actually for internal consumption. So once again, we are seeing Israel and the U.S. trying to use every method at their disposal to make the Iranian people hurt, to use collective punishment, right? Because how does this hurt the Iranian military? How does this degrade the military capabilities or the ballistic, the drone capabilities?
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, it's a deliberate U.S. Israeli decision to maybe Trump got mad. Nobody in NATO, nobody in the world would help him. And he was like, I'm going to screw them all. We have oil, right?
Mhm.
But you guys need it. I'm going to screw us all. I mean, I have to say that what he just started is a whole different chapter. It's just something completely new. Have we ever seen anything like this? I mean,
not that I can remember.
no, especially when the world, I mean, don't forget this is a gas field. And don't forget that the Europeans took Russian gas offline last 4 years, right? More or less.
Exactly.
And now they're taking the second biggest producer in the world offline.
And they
What kind of games are being played? Like, sorry, my mind's bursting because, there was at some point early on this conflict, I said, it's very clear that to me at least, that there are people in the United States in high positions of either power or very wealthy and very connected with the government who do understand that this war cannot be won by the U.S. It's an unwinnable war. I mean, maybe both collapse, but it's not a winnable war, and because it's existential. So I think there are some players who are, maybe it's global capital types who are kind of betting either way. It's hedging your bets. If it's going to collapse, you have an exit plan for a new paradigm, a new global financial and economic paradigm that emerges. I'm not sure about all this, but was it yesterday that I mentioned that, look at that, the price of fuel in Singapore, and it was like way higher than what is quoted. I think in the US it was like 103. But this is also interesting that's happening. The oil market is kind of split. It is $150 in Asia, and it is $100 in the United States. How is that? I mean, granted, a lot of the stuff that goes from the Strait of Hormuz, the 20% of the world's supply that goes to the Strait of Hormuz, a lot of that is directed towards Asia. But can that happen? Can you have,
True.
fuel in Thailand being $150 a barrel, and then $100 in the United States is like, sorry, up is down and down is up, folks.
It is. It is. I mean, this is what is this now? Day 19. It feels like day 100, and it's just the same.
Yeah.
The same strategy. There is absolutely no change, and now more than ever, Donald Trump is kind of like falling back, right, on the people who got him into this war instead of listening to those who. Today, actually, yesterday I was asking, where's Tulsi Gabbard? Has anybody seen Tulsi Gabbard? She showed up today in the Senate to answer some questions, and it was very interesting because one thing she said, to the shock of absolutely no one in the world, she said Iran, after the 12-day war, did not make any attempt to rebuild their nuclear capabilities. That's what she's the head of the U.S. intelligence community. Yesterday we saw that this guy, right, Joe Kent, resigned and said Israel dragged Trump into this war of choice. And now today they go and bomb the South Pars field. And, just before we started the podcast, and I think it's still ongoing, Saudi Arabia has been reporting that their defenses are activated against Iranian drones and ballistic missiles. Actually, there's some images apparently from maybe an Aramco facility in Riyadh, because Iran warned, right, Karim, they warned that they were going to hit a bunch of facilities in the Gulf.
Yeah, exactly. Iran issued a warning around like 3 or 4 hours ago. In the warning, they included an oil and gas facility in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, again in Saudi Arabia, two in Saudi Arabia, and also in Qatar, the Chevron owned petrochemical facility in Qatar, and also Ras Lifan terminal in Qatar also, and
Refinery.
yeah, that's it. So they issued these warnings, and of course they will start targeting them. We have also footage from some fires in Saudi Arabia.
I was about to send you. I was about to send you. Do you have it already?
Yeah, we have it in
In
on
the
our
meantime,
Twitter.
while Karim puts that up, again, let me just remind you to hit that like button. We recently reached 71,000 YouTube subscribers, so thank you so much. Thank you so much for your support. Oh my God. This is Riyadh, reportedly, right?
Yes. No, the description says Saudi Arabia. We will see. Yes, over Riyadh. Yes, 100%.
That's I have another video that's a bit closer. Maybe I'll send it to you so you can put it. I think it's of the same attack. Yeah, like now.
Haifa is also on the list.
Haifa is also on the list. Yeah, that's completely right. We're also seeing more attacks. I mean, yesterday, it's always after we finish this podcast that the best footage of the Iranian strikes comes out. Because yesterday, I'm sure you guys saw the one of which was like the entire night sky was painted by this cluster munition that was launched by Iran in retaliation for the assassination of Ali Larijani, the former head of the National Security Council, and someone who, well, first of all, they killed him in his daughter's home alongside his family. The images of the aftermath, it's just a raised building. And I don't think we know yet how many people were there. I'm sure Iranian media has already reported it. But I was reading this article by Trita Parsi today, just about Larijani, and he essentially says, well, Larijani was one of the people who actually wanted to have talks with the U.S., especially last year. He was one of the people actually pursuing talks, right? And it just does feel now that between the South Pars field attack, the attack in Iran, right, in Tehran, the oil depot, the assassination of Larijani, the assassination of Khamenei, all of these assassinations, that Israel does not want the U.S. to have an off-ramp. Do you guys agree with that? Do you guys think this is the case now?
That Israel what?
Doesn't want the U.S. to be able to exit this war.
Yeah, as I see it, they are trying to inflict as much damages to Iran as they can. Of course, because the Americans are behind them, and now we can say that the strategic depth of Israel starts from Saudi Arabia and goes to Qatar and Kuwait and Jordan and Iraq. None of these countries that I mentioned are trying to down anything from the United States or Israel, but they are trying to down everything that comes from Iran. The war is now very obvious. You have one team, the Gulf countries, the Iraqi government, the Jordanian government and the king, alongside with Israel and United States against Iran, and Iran has allies in Iraq and in Lebanon. And that's very clear now because of the retaliation of the Iranians. And after Israel, the Israelis targeted the gas field terminal in Bushehr in Iran, the retaliation is to bomb the oil and gas facilities and the manufacturing capacity of the Gulf countries because Israel bombed that. So the Iranians also are dealing with the Gulfs as they are dealing with the Israelis, as they are dealing with the Americans, because they are all targeting or Iran being targeted because of these countries. Until now, just a reminder that we didn't see any official statement from any head of state of these countries or a king or anything. They are just like putting
the foreign
up
ministries have the UAE, Qatar have.
Yeah, I understand that, but there's a big difference. And these countries usually they are, يعني some of them are taught since birth that the king owns you. Usually when the king go and speak, or the whatever the zaim goes and speak, it's different. يعني imagine they are suffering from the war and bombing and all of that, and till now nobody said anything to his people.
Today,
They're not Hassan Nasrallah. I don't know. I didn't expect that necessarily. But wait, I was trying to understand what you're saying. That you're saying that in this conflict now, and like what the U.S. and Israel did today, the Gulf countries are on their side.
Yeah, according to the Iranians, then why will Iran retaliate by hitting facilities in Saudi Arabia, UAE, and Qatar?
Because Iran said from well before this war that if we can't sell our oil, you can. And this is separate from the if anything is launched from these territories, we will make it a target. The threat was if you try to destroy our ability to sell oil or gas, we will destroy everyone's ability to. I mean,
Yeah,
here's the
exactly.
thing. I don't think I don't think the Arab countries want this escalation. I think it's completely. I mean, it's not like they're going to survive this if they don't have oil and gas. They simply don't. You know, it really is the kind of
Illogical, but
things.
that's what's happening, unfortunately, I think.
No, but here's the thing. Like we keep talking about it's existential for Iran. It's for this. For it's also it's Israel has been viewing this as existential for them too. They are going on all fronts. They are completely unhinged. They are trying to burn everything down. This is why I'm saying it's a Masada thing. Now, the only logical reason I can imagine that Trump would come in and agree with this Israeli plan, because don't forget, there's several times he said, okay, we're not going to hit the oil fields. We didn't hit your oil fields in Harg. We didn't hit your refineries here, is because, he's kind of like a crazy egotistical brat who just got turned down by the world yesterday and, got isolated AF and just went, fine. I mean, I don't know what sorry, I'm really grappling with this because, nobody's written anything so far, right, about what's happened behind the scenes. So we're left to guess at this stuff right now. I mean, it's too early for statements to have come out. I saw that the Qataris slammed this move, right?
yeah, they were
But
very
at the
hard.
same time, I was seeing some American commentators saying Qatar had pushed for this move, which I don't believe. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of there's a lot of psychological warfare that's going on here. That's all I can say.
There's a
But
lot of
I'm not believing quite yet that the Arab countries would at all ever want this. I think they have been trying for the U.S. to de-escalate, but Trump is getting humiliated, and that's the problem with humiliating your enemy. They start to act very rationally.
especially when your enemy is such a small man. Today, Saudi Arabia was hosting, by the way, a gathering of Arab and Islamic nations, including representatives from Azerbaijan, Bahrain, Egypt, Jordan, Kuwait, Pakistan, Qatar, Syria, Turkey, and the UAE in Riyadh, which is, well, under attack at the moment, or, well, their assets, right? Their oil assets are. It's interesting timing. Interesting, they talk about like how they need to find a strategy to, maintain security, etc. All of that good talk. I wonder if any of them are discussing exactly what Karim was saying, like, should we maybe start targeting the other side too, like try to bring down the missiles headed to Iran, or is it just going to continue to be this alliance of countries fighting against Iran and Iran completely on its own? And then at the same time, the stranglehold in the Strait of Hormuz, they have no answer for that.
Yeah, exactly. And so for instance, Jordan is being used to launch operation against Iran. And yesterday there were photos taken from Jordan for American jets flying. So, and we saw it in Kuwait in the first few days when 3 F-15s were downed, and we saw it in Kuwait from videos. There was American ammunition in the desert, and there's like multiple videos of American mobile vehicles, military vehicles, launching missiles from Bahrain into Iran. And also 3 days ago, the Iranians issued an official statement saying that the recent location targeted, which was 3 days ago, was launched from the UAE. So for me, and I think for the Iranians, because of the retaliations, there is no difference country between the Gulf countries, north of Iraq, the Kurdish area in Iraq, the Israelis and the Americans, they are all legitimate targets. And also 2 hours ago, I forgot to mention that also the Iranians threatened a port in the UAE, in addition to the other oil and gas or energy facilities. So this war also it's being like widening, and also the same thing is happening, or the same rhythm. Although now people, even experts that are with Trump can see how the United States can win this. But also till now, everything that's happening and the escalation and the attacks are being initiated once again by Israel, not by the other side. Meaning the Israelis, they are the ones who targeted the oil and gas in the first week, the depots, and now they are targeting facilities. They are the ones that started assassinating. Until now,
Yeah, they're raising the
other
temperature for sure. I mean, the Ali Larijani killing, all of this is just they're setting fires everywhere, hoping there will be a conflagration. They don't want the U.S. to get out, and so they escalate. I mean, we've seen this in other situations historically. So you have a U.S. president who's trying to maybe take a rational way out, and then you have a bunch of pro-Israel editorials that come out. And like during the nuclear negotiations, for instance, how many times do we see this, that things were going well, and then you had someone come out and say, like New York Times or whatever, and say the president is being really weak on the Iranians, and that the whole tone would change the next day. So that they know how to play this game better than anyone. Sorry, I interrupted you, Karim. Do you want to?
No. I just want to add something because it's important. Also, I don't think Esteban read it. CNN citing U.S. officials. An official said to CNN, "We did not carry out attacks on gas fields in Iran. Israel did it."
Actually, because I have something that adds to that. This is from Channel 12 in Hebrew, in Just Kelmar. They say that, first of all, they fully coordinated with the U.S., and I'm going to read you the actual quote. Israel assisted operationally in order to send an American message. Either the Strait of Hormuz will be opened and the mines will be removed by the Iranians, or the entire natural gas facility will be destroyed, as will other energy facilities. They are framing this as a direct threat from Donald Trump.
That doesn't even make sense. Either you open the strait so oil and gas can reach the world, or we're going to destroy oil and gas.
Makes sense in their heads, Sherman. I guess it makes sense in their heads.
Yeah, man, we have there's roles.
It's too soon to call the. Sorry, that's not. I need to figure this out. Like, there's the Gulf countries are not one unit. Okay, number one, the Gulf countries, Israel and America, are not one unit. Even Israel and America are not one unit. Like, we just have to. We have to understand what the thinking is. I do not believe Gulf countries wanted the oil to be hit. At every single point that the Gulf countries, even prior to the war, have warned Trump. And we assumed they had a lot of leverage, or at least they had Trump's ear properly, because they were giving trillions to the Donald, right? At every turn, he has been persuaded to ignore their warnings and go ahead. These Gulf countries, I mean, for once in a while you get a megalomaniac, but they're also very conservative countries. They know how far to push and when to pull back. We've seen this historically. We thought, okay, with the Mohammed bin Salman, young buck, whatever, we might see a different trend. But even he has settled into that kind of, it's the Saudi conservative way. Sorry, I'm just talking now because I'm trying to figure out. what's going on. I do not think the Gulf um, had any knowledge of this. I don't trust anything that separates the U.S. from Israel. At the same time, we really have to understand, because I mean, Israel would never dare to do anything that the U.S. said no to. Again, we go back to the chicken and the not the chicken and the egg. There's another
I'm not familiar with
metaphor.
the other one.
We go back to who's
Like the if the dog wags the tail or the tail wags the
yeah,
dog, something like
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. The U.S. is the dog and Israel's the tail. All right. The tail tries to move the dog. Okay, but the dog ultimately can tell the tail to drop. That's what I'm saying. So I think there's a lot more we have to discover before we understand what game's being played here. Because taking this to the gas fields, guys, is a whole different thing. It is literally burning the planet's ability. By the way, and we've talked about this. Is it Karim or Esteban? I think Karim. The fertilizers, and
Yeah.
right. This is a big deal. If you look at farmers in like Iowa now,
Yes,
they are already priced out of making any money from their crops
they're
based
screwed.
on the price of fertilizers. And now, are you going to have food in America?
Fast food.
That's true.
Yesterday,
That's not food. That's true.
actually, yesterday I was seeing this clip of the late Hassan Nasrallah making the rounds, in which he said this thing right about the the narrative that the Israeli lobby controls the U.S. and how he says Israel has always been a tool. First, it was a tool of the British. Now, it's a tool for the U.S. empire. And Israel, at the end of the day, does whatever the U.S. As you said, Charmaine, exactly your point. So you reminded me of that, right? And it seems that they're always trying to kind of muddy the waters, paint this picture of like the U.S. is an occupied nation, when in reality, a lot of the goals of the U.S. are the ones that Israel is achieving, right? Like as a forward operating base, if you will. I had something else I wanted to bring up to you guys, but I kind of lost it. I don't know if you have any comments, Karim, while I find it.
هلا I have يعني in my analysis I see what's happening for instance يعني there's two goals for each of the Israelis and the Americans. The Gulf countries have no say in this. First, the Americans and Trump, he wants to control the oil, and the end game is to have leverage over China. While the Israelis, they want to destroy Iran and they want to weaken Iran like years and years back. And in the same time, there is no effect on Israel if the Gulf countries got bombed or they went back like 20, 30 years ago. There is no effect on Israel. That's one. And second, Israel, they produce their own gas, and the oil, they get it from
Turkey.
Azerbaijan
Yeah.
through
Well,
Turkey.
yes, through Turkey.
So this area is still till now far from what's happening in the region. So if the
They're not
Israelis,
suffering. Yeah.
yeah,
In
100%,
that sense.
the Israelis went and bombed this. First, this will make Iran retaliate. This will make Iran retaliate inside Gulf countries. The Gulf countries will be weakened. Oil and gas will go higher. And in the same time, it has no effect on Israel. And also, this will create hatred between the Arabs or the Gulf countries and the Iranians. So I think that's how Israel operates and how they think. Yani.
By the way, right now, actually 20 minutes ago, the Qatar's Ministry of the Interior is reporting a fire in the Ras Laffan area, where home to the world's largest LNG production facility. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. And
Israel
also,
has 3 gas platforms, and it has 2 refineries, and the one major one I think has already been hit, and Haifa's on the list again, so I guess that's going to be hit. I also, there is a pipeline. It's not that gas pumping from Azerbaijan is going to go infinitely to Israel. I mean, everyone loses, is what I'm saying, and this is such an Israeli kind of thing to do. Like we we're going to die, we're going to burn, so everyone will burn with us. I mean it. There's just like complete irrationality here. Which is why I can't get my head around any of this. People saying that MBS was probably, are you sure MBS didn't push for this war? Let me say something that we were hearing before this war started, when the feud between the Emiratis and the Saudis had become really, really bad. Do you remember that? It wasn't so long ago, guys. The Saudis were just all out against the Emiratis, particularly Mohammed bin Zayed.
It was like a month ago.
Yeah, but it was everything in this region.
Yeah.
It was everything. The Saudis were making all Arab countries shut down diplomatic relations with the Emirates, or eject Emirati bases and Emirati ports, etc., from their countries. It was all out war. And there were discussions happening that obviously the Israelis and the Emiratis were the closest. The Emirates is the closest of all Arab countries to Israel. It is the one Arab country that led the Abraham Accords. It is in lockstep with the Israelis on a mutual vision for West Asia. There was talk about Mohammed bin Salman potentially being ousted, aided by the Americans in doing this, to bring in one of his brothers who would be more amenable, right, to dealing with the Israelis, etc. It's not as simple, is all I'm saying. We don't know many of these answers, but a lot you can glean from people's behaviors. It's just that it's just happened, and there's not a lot of behaviors on display yet.
There's something else that's happening, and it's not really being reported a lot because I guess, there's still kind of unverified information, but there's apparently very big questions about the stock of missile interceptors that are left in West Asia in particular, right? This was a warning from the beginning of the war by General Dan Kane. It's been something we've been hearing a lot. Remember, during the first few days, we kept hearing about Gulf states being stonewalled by the U.S. in regards to their dwindling stock of interceptors. Today, Bloomberg confirmed that the USS Ford is indeed headed back to Greece, to port, because of these, very unfortunate accidents that it keeps running into. How is the U.S. going to keep up, right? The defense of Israel, the defense of the Gulf states, which of course comes secondary, if not third on the list of what matters to them. They keep digging themselves into this hole when the actual way what they should be doing is try to get out, right, of the hole. But I mean, it feels like we're just from a few days away from seeing whether it's true that the U.S. is about to run out of interceptors.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm telling you. When you start talking about wars being existential, people start acting irrationally and throwing everything in. The region's on fire. You could kind of handle the various parts, right, before. But if you do you remember, was it, Karim, you tell me, I forget, it was Iraq before it withdrew from Kuwait, set like all these Kuwaiti fields on fire, and they went on and on and on, and the climate and pollution damage, and it was just a disaster for a really, really, really long time for Kuwait, correct? So this is what you do when a frightened player goes completely nuts and tries to burn down the whole region. So Israel and the United States just took the region and the world into something that will be very hard to walk back from. A few hours ago, you could have come up with a solution, walk back from things. Right now, you've set the entire world on fire.
Yes. Actually, there's something, let me again remind everyone to please hit that like button. Make sure to do it. It really helps to get this stream out to more viewers. And earlier today, actually, I was watching your interview, Charmaine, with Victor Gao. By the way, everyone also, after this podcast is over, go check that one out. And we have, you had an interview with, you are going to have to help me with the name, because
Pravin Sauni, which is what our viewers wanted.
Yes, that just went online a couple of hours ago. So again, after this podcast, if you haven't yet, just go and show it some love. Thankfully, we keep getting subscribers over the past 24 hours. We went past 71,000. So thank you to everyone. But back to the Victor Gao interview, it was very interesting, honestly. And I've been reading this AP report from earlier today that essentially outlines the fact that China is, I think, the only country that didn't really answer Donald Trump when he called them, for the help in reopening the Strait of Hormuz. The Chinese Foreign Ministry essentially ignored those questions when pressed by reporters. And at the same time, we saw that Donald Trump delayed his trip to Beijing, which was expected, I think, at the end of this month. And again, it's apparently something that Beijing never even confirmed was going to happen, right? It seems like it has been a very one-sided situation for a while now. I mean, what can you tell us, I mean, about, well, first, your conversation with Victor Gao, which was, honestly, after this podcast, everyone go check it out, and also about what Donald Trump's decisions right now in Iran mean, well, for the other powers, for the rising powers, if you will.
I mean, Victor basically, several times expressed the feeling that I think is quite omnipresent now around the world, that Trump is he's unreliable. He's unreliable. He's setting off a lot of fires.
Erratic.
The one who goes after Venezuela and Greenland and Canada and Cuba and bombs Nigeria and these kind of things. It's not, there's no policy there, right? And actually, I think it was my conversation with Pravin Sauni today, in which he said he had been quite in favor in some ways with Trump coming in, because he did genuinely at that point seem that he wanted to wrap up these wars and do things, but then something seems to happen. He went so far off message that it's not a normal thing, right? Mm-hmm. Basically both these men talk about it's. Oh, and Pravin Sauni also explained something that I've seen in his videos. He says, you have to have, I can't remember the language, but you have to have like a central goal. You have to have a center when you're planning for a war, right? You have to see the picture around you. You have to have the right focus, mm-hmm. and that Trump's centers keep moving, which is why one day it's a regime change war, the next day it's some other reason. It's to get rid of just the leadership. The third day it's to help protesters, etc. So I think the Chinese and the Russians are thinking this way, that there's no center to this U.S. administration's policies, right? How can you discuss any of this? They're just going back and forth. I mean, Trump very clearly in the last few days has, at least with the media, expressed his aversion to hitting any Iranian oil and gas facilities. Have we not heard this, right? Mm-hmm. In Technicolor, has Trump not said this? No, I'm against hitting Iranian oil facilities. And then what happens today, right? So I think the Chinese and Russians and other major players, including the Indians, including the Japanese, these are countries that are energy poor, right? Are going to be thinking, okay, steady now. We can't upset him even further, right? You're talking about a lunatic right now. Yeah. You have to figure out how to approach the man and try, and try, because like I said, if oil and gas fields are being blown up, right? The center of the world's energy, right? The most strategic center of the world's energy is being blown up. What? How can you walk back from that? So I think these countries are looking on with horror at what the U.S. is doing, trying very desperately to gauge through connections and whatnot, what exactly the thinking is and the rationale is, in order to decide what to do, either to sit still, go to the UN Security Council, call up their Arab Persian Gulf allies, call up Iran, call up Tel Aviv and see what they can do to quieten things down. Everybody plays a role. The big powers, they do play a role. Much of it is behind the scenes. The only one that you kind of see from time to time is Turkey's Erdogan, because he likes to let people know he's involved in troubleshooting everywhere in the world. No, but it's true, right? He does that. He's like, I'm going to solve the problem here, and
he wants to solve Ukraine again.
After Ukraine. But I think everyone right now is making phone calls to either ratchet down the tension, the escalation. But I just don't know how you go back from these gas fields, man. I still remember from my youth the Kuwaiti gas fields or oil fields, right, on fire forever and ever, just killing that country off.
There's some images actually right now going around of the fires in Qatar. As you say, Sharmeen, the world's source of energy is essentially on fire because the U.S. and Israel just need to have this war, right? Another thing, and actually, Karim, we were talking about this earlier before we started, was one of the attacks today in Iran that hit dangerously close to the Bushehr nuclear reactor in Iran. What do you know about that, or what do you think about this actually?
Yeah, the statement said that a building around 350 meters away from the facility was hit and destroyed, and the Iranians complained to the international IEA, yes. And this is not the first time, this is the second time. Previously, at the start of the war, I think second or third day, the Russians also said that the Americans and the Israelis bombed dangerously next to a nuclear facility that has Russians inside. And until now, I don't think anything will surprise us anymore. They targeted the oil and gas facilities, which is the most important thing in the region, and they already targeted the most important people in the region. So I think from now on, nothing will surprise anybody at all. And as Sharmeen said, this also depends also what their goal is. What's the end game? They want only to weaken Iran. Okay, they are weakening Iran. They can continue weakening Iran, and the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Can the United States bear the pressure internally and from the allies?
100%.
And especially the Europeans, they are very frank about it. They are not willing to send ships. And if this escalates, and if the Americans and not let us say Trump, if Trump went more crazy and he demanded support, and his army told him, for instance, we need this ship from the UK, we need this ship from here, we have to make an alliance, and he failed to do it. This guy will go crazy, not on Iran, he will go crazy on all the world, on his allies before his enemies. He might cancel NATO, he might cancel many things, and he's willing to do it. And previously he used to talk about it, and there was no such thing as what's happening now. It was only speculations. According to him, everything now is confirmed. According to him, the Europeans are useless, NATO is useless, waste of money.
We don't need you.
What's happening now is the only two countries that are against the war, not against Iran, is Israel and the United States. But unfortunately, these two countries have spent the past 5-6 decades controlling most of the world. That's why we don't hear voices, we don't hear voices of reason, but everybody is against what's happening.
Completely. Actually, somebody in the comments says something interesting too, which is that there's a ship, apparently a U.S. warship, headed to West Asia right now, carrying thousands of Marines. It was spotted off the coast of Singapore.
Yeah, it's called Tripoli. And it has two, if I'm not mistaken. Why shall
I think so.
It is. But
okay.
it's Lebanon's, Libya.
Yeah, it is called Tripoli. Just 2 days ago, I watched a documentary about it. So Tripoli is considered. I'm not doing propaganda, by the way. People can go and check it out. Tripoli is called, or is nicknamed, the disaster in some places, and in some places it's called the failed project, because it was an amphibious naval vehicle, and the purpose of it failed. So usually the United States don't use them as in war. That's according to that documentaries and what I read about it. I'm not an expert. but I read and many sources said the same thing. It holds to 2,500 American from the American Navy and Army, and usually it's used, or the purpose of it was to land on beaches. So I don't know.
They're heading to Harg Island.
Yeah,
to
yeah.
rescue them.
Before I continue or people make assumptions, I just want to say that this ship is coming to replace the damaged aircraft carrier, according to the news. So, meaning they are sending this doesn't mean they will make like a landing on shores. I'm just being clear here. They might do it, but this comes as a replacement to the aircraft carrier that went on fire, and they said it needs like 2 weeks to be, or 3 weeks to be fixed.
I read about this ship and deployment of Marines to the region before we heard that what's its name was going to be taken offline. Franklin Ford. What? Franklin? Isn't it Franklin?
The Gerald Ford is the most expensive
Gerald
warship
Ford.
ever built, by the way. Just a little side note there.
Yeah. So I don't know about that. Yeah. So Americans are ramping up in the region. Marines are coming in.
It feels like a case of where there's smoke, there's fire, right? We keep hearing so much about the ground, boots on the ground. It's the phrase.
Yeah, you know why we are hearing about it? Because in the US media, everybody who is being interviewed and has like a respectful title, or he was in the army, they are all saying the only way to open Strait of Hormuz is to put boots on the ground, because airstrikes never solve a problem, according to the Americans, because airstrikes can't force a regime, according to the Americans, to take a political decision or a military decision. So everybody is going there saying that they will have to put boots on the ground, and they think it's okay to do that. It's in Iraq they suffered, and in other places they suffered. Iran is wallah is different. And that's why many Iranians are saying we are ready. Come. And just today the Iranian army released like a teaser or a video showing people, Iranians under the ground and in underground facilities waiting for the Americans. So that's it. I want to our maybe new listeners or listeners that are not from this region. This is not propaganda again. Really, the Iranians will be very happy if the Americans attempted to invade Iran or to send the troops from the air. This is their dream. They say it.
Karim, by the way, we have a couple of super chats. I don't know if we put them on screen, and I think
sorry.
Questions, so maybe you can. We can.
Yeah, I put this one, but we didn't read it. We have this super chat from Daria. She said, "Sending love and kindness from Canada and Earth." Thank you. And we also have a sticker from Tia Joa. Thank you. Yes, and again another one from Schiffer Pro. Why do you think Iran is holding back, not going all the way to inflict pain on everybody? Oil prices have come down as they let oil to pass through. Is it Islamic restraint or
no
oligarchies?
There's an escalation ladder. Iran has said from the beginning they expect it to be a longer, protracted war, and you don't do that all at the beginning. I mean, part of why you wage war is for your enemy to decide at some point, okay, I'm out, right? You don't have to do American type shock and awe. That's not how most people
that's
wage
what
war.
We are used to.
It's what we're used to, and we think that's what makes the victory. It doesn't. America did shock and awe in Iraq, and it didn't win, right? It did these things in Afghanistan, didn't win, which is why the Americans are now saying air wars are not going to win us.
We have a recent example, Sharmeen, Russia and Ukraine. Every single person in the world knows that if Putin or Russia decides they can wipe up Europe, not only Ukraine, but they didn't. Because this is how they conduct the war. They could have killed Zelensky since day one, but till now they didn't. This is their ethicals in war. That's that's somehow a problem with the Iranians, but this is in history. This is the good thing to do. This reflects their culture and their religion and everything. Unlike the Israelis, yani.
Yeah, I mean, doing sharp, hard wars doesn't necessarily win you anything. Okay, if you actually want to win or have your enemy pull back, you have to run smart wars. So yeah, I think Iran is pacing itself. To be honest,
It's pacing
Yeah,
itself, I
exactly.
think, because they're also aware of the reports of the air defenses, right? I mean, maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of the reason. That's why they started blinding the U.S. first, right? Like attacking all of the radars. By the way, Qatar's foreign ministry has confirmed that an Iranian missile attack on the Ras Laffan industrial city caused a major fire and serious damage. At the same time, there's direct rocket impacts from Lebanon in Kiryat Shimona in the occupied Palestinian territories, of course. Guys, I think maybe we can start wrapping up for today, unless either one of you have anything to add. If not, we can, just remind our viewers to hit that like button, please. It's very, really important. And of course, after this stream is over, yes,
Yeah, I'm just want to comment over the oil prices.
go ahead, please.
Again, I'm not an expert, but I am spending a lot of time to learn about this because this is the hottest topic and part of the job currently. What Sharmin said, she said that in the United States currently the oil is 97, and in other parts of the world, and especially in our region, the oil is reaching 130 to 140. This is in oil. It's called a written number, meaning that's what the market price is. But when you come and you want to buy, the numbers will be more. And of course, the world needs a few weeks or few days, it depends, to the markets to follow the prices. Meaning, and if you have a country, you have millions of barrels already stored. These were purchased when the oil was cheaper. So this also takes times. And what happens usually, for instance, in Saudi Arabia, the barrel is 150, and in the United States they managed to keep it at 100. But after few days, the market will reach the median between these two prices. Meaning, in this case, for instance, just an example, the median will be around $125. So you would see numbers lower than the actual prices that are being sold and imported in different countries, and of course the big companies that will pay more and more, and the individuals can't catch up with such big companies.
so but $200 is per barrel is the number that's been thrown around as like that would be the most catastrophic
Yeah,
thing. We're already nearing that number in Asian markets. Okay, that's what I'm saying. We're already there. So we are going to see,
It's gonna speed
whatever
up.
supplies countries have, once they burn through that, and this is the new reality, everything. I mean, we're talking about access to food, right? Manufacturing bases, transportation, public transportation, driving your cars. How do you go to work? There are schools in some parts of the world that are now having they're not holding school on certain days to save money on
Yeah,
oil, right?
yeah,
So,
Bangladesh did that. Yeah.
but
like
yeah.
Thailand, they put every Wednesday off in the country.
Yeah. So what we need to figure, and I think today we're all getting the news right now and trying to figure out who, what, where, when, how. Hopefully tomorrow we'll have a little bit more answers, but I think there are people here playing a very long, hard game as well. So yeah, stay with us every day at the same time, the Cradles live podcasts, as we bring our thoughts and breaking developments to y'all.
The latest, including actually,
Exactly.
let me just close with this. Ashkelon in the Gaza envelope was for the first time in history hit by a Hezbollah rocket launched from Lebanon, marking a record range of over 200 kilometers. That just happened right now. So interesting, very interesting
You
development
got to
today.
eke out your capabilities. You don't rush in on day one.
Yeah, and I just want to add something that sorry I forgot. Okay, about maybe the oil. No, I don't know. Okay,
You're lost. You can
so
tomorrow, Karim, too.
Wallah, yeah.
In any
Yeah.
case,
Yes. I wanted to say we are in a very vulnerable moments. We are very sensitive moments. A video of Aramco or any Saudi facility burning, for instance, if it spread on the world the next day, the whole prices in the world will go up in food, in energy, in everything. So we are
just by
in a very
perception.
sensitive,
Yeah.
days. Thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow. And bye bye.
Thanks to our Patreons. Please become a Patreon.
Of
Bye,
course.
everyone.
Bye.